Dimitri, you want to start with a demo?
Yes. Hi, everyone. My name is Dmitry, and this is 5-minute production app weekly sync. So last week, we showed that with few lines in GitLab CI YAML, you can get your application deployed to AWS using EC2 instances and using RDS for database. So let me share my screen first. Yep. Now, for today's demo, I created a new project which is pretty much the same stage that the previous week project had. So this is a Rails app generated from template. It has GitLab CI YAML file with just 2 lines of code, including 5-minute production app deploy template. And it also has few CI/CD variables, which are for AWS. Now, I want to start with the first essential thing when you do Rails development. Like once you have your application running, you probably want to have something more than static. Yeah, and for that, I'll just generate some code that will require database migration, and I'm going to push it, and I'm going to make a 5-minute production app work with migrations. So I pushed a new code that contains a migration in it, and it triggers a pipeline, right? But right now, 5-minute production app knows nothing about migrations, about how to initialize DB schema. So we need to make according changes in CI YAML file. If we go to the deploy template, the README that I used during the previous demo, yeah, we have quite a lot of information here, but in the section of the database, it says that environmental variables to be initialized and DB migrate if set are executed right after the Docker run. So what that means is that we can set up 2 variables for scripting, one to prepare the database one time, and another one to run on each pipeline to update it. So basically migrations. DB initialize and DB migrate variables, you might recognize them because they are also used in AutoDevOps in the same way. We rely on users defining DB initialize and DB migrate for themselves, and we use the same approach, the same name in here. So our further goal is to make 5-minute production app compatible with AutoDevOps, so we can integrate it back easily. So yeah, let's add those variables. And in the README, we have an example for Rails. And since I'm using Rails, we just use those. If you use whatever framework or other language, of course, those scripts will be different for you. In the meantime, let me check how the pipeline is doing. Okay, now when I made appropriate changes, yeah, I just wait for the pipeline, and while wait for the pipeline, yeah, we can do two things. You can ask me questions right now if you have any, or I just show you other functionalities that we have.
Other functionality.
Yay, good choice. So yeah, I'm using master right now in this example, but yeah, we know that we work in feature branches, and let's say I push some feature in the branch, and yeah, if you use this 5-minute production app, you can just go to the merge request, and your pipeline will run here too. So if you open the app from here, you'll see actually your review app running. And you can notice the difference in environments. Here's our master running. Here's our review app running. Now, when you play with it and when you accept the merge request, it will automatically run Terraform destroy, destroying the review app infrastructure created for it. So this way you can just use the general workflows and merge request, and it will create review apps and destroy review apps as you create and merge and accept merge requests. So right now, I just accept merge request and triggers destroy job, which will be equivalent of Terraform destroy and remove all the feature branch infrastructure created while still keeping master alive.
That's super cool, Dimitri. So you run kind of one EC2 instance for the master branch, and then the review branches spawn additional EC2 micro instances?
Yeah, exactly like that.
That's so simple. That's so cool.
Now, about the behavior. So those variables, AWS access key, region, secret key, they can be protected, they can be unprotected, depends on the availability of the branches. So let's say people don't want to run this on the feature branches, so they just make those variables protected. And if those variables are not available in regular branches, there will be no deploy happening, no provisioning, nothing. So it depends on your needs. You can tweak this behavior, but simply telling through CI/CD variables at what branches you want visibility of those variables. So if you want to run it on stage and production and only protected branches, you make them protected. If you want to run this on every branch, you make them unprotected. Now let's go back to our first project and see if the pipeline is good. So the first pipeline was without changes to the GitLab CI YAML, so there is nothing happened here. It deployed the code, but yeah, it's not enough. Now with updated CI YAML with db command, let's see what's happening here. And yeah, it's still waiting. Good. Now it should try. Good. Okay, so this is a failure, and the reason why it fails is not because we did something wrong, but because Rails has credentials, and to make deployment safe, Rails encrypts those credentials and keeps them in config/credential encrypted file. And in order to decrypt them during any rake task, Rails need a secret key passed to it. So in this particular case, we want our application running, so we want to give secret key base variable to our application within the Docker container. And we're going to do that. I have the variable locally, so let me just copy paste it. But now if we just add the variable, it won't be available to within the instance of the Docker within the EC2. So like Terraform, we have a different concept specifically to pass variables to the application, to the internal side, internal part of Docker run. You just add GitLab var as a prefix and do like Rails master key, and you put the value here. And now we just retry the job and see if it will work. And this is another feature that we introduced, is like you want the ability to pass environmental variables to your application running. Otherwise, you can't pass certain credentials. You can't can do much of flexibility.
Sorry, why is there a difference? Like a database AWS region, I can just define, and GLVAR, I have to put GLVAR before it. Why is that? What is the translation step I'm missing?
Yeah, so AWS credentials, you define it for Terraform, right? So it's available right inside the CI pipeline. But this variable is needed for Rails, which is run inside Docker container, inside EC2.
Sorry, into the Docker container. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm missing.
So the environment is not passing through layers down. So what we do here in GitLab, we just reuse the Terraform approach. So Terraform has this tf-var prefixes, and what it does is like, okay, we'll just take those prefix variables for configuring stuff for Terraform, and we just use similar approach here and said that everything that has glvar prefix will pass down through to your web app within the Docker. And with the change, it's now Rails is working. It actually can decrypt the credentials, and it runs a DB initialize, and it successfully created the database. So if we go to the environments, if we open the live, if we go to posts, if we write something down, it will actually create it. So that means that database table is created, and yeah, that actually enables us to to proceed with further development, make features, and so on.
Really awesome. Lots of progress.
Thank you. I think I'll just stop sharing at this point.
Yeah, it's your agenda, Dimitri.
Yes, right. Number 2. Organization-wise, I moved the project to the subgroups, and now we have everything under one name. I linked to the project README, so everyone who wants to try can go straight to README right now and try it out. Issue board, I put a link to the issue board, so if you want to create an issue, if something is not working, if you have a recommendation, if you want to contribute, you can find everything there. And we also have a Slack channel with the same name, 5-minute production app, where you can reach out to me, to Sri, and yeah, just ask any questions real time. Okay, now next point is a bit about our plans of the next week. So we want to introduce S3, and it's somewhat there, but we need to try it out and get it ready to be presentable. We also need to do some bug fixing, and more complex the project goes, and more side problems appear. So there need to be some fixes done there. And yeah, I think that's
cool. Thanks for everything, Sri. You're able to work full time on this. There's enough to do.
Yeah, it's good.
Awesome. Darby at point 4.
Yeah, I just wanted to throw this in here. I created a MR to add some of these links to the direction page so other people can follow along there. And then I, as part of this, I created a YouTube playlist so we can throw these meetings in there. And if someone wants to catch up, they can do it that way. So if anyone has any feedback or other things to add in there, go ahead and add that, add a comment in there, and I'll get that taken care of.
Awesome. Thanks, Darby. 5.5, GL var. It's like a Docker var, but we call it GL var, but because why not? But maybe someone can add to the README, which is excellent, by the way. It's an excellent README that this variable goes into the Docker container. So that wasn't super intuitive to me. Sri, can you take that on?
Yeah. So yeah. So let me just think about it a little bit, because the README is titled "Variables Exposed to the Web Application," and GLVAR eventually gets exposed.
It's a lie, because some of the variables in there are not exposed to the web application.
No, it is. It is absolutely 100% true. So all the variables here are actually provided to the Docker container that runs the web application.
AWS region, we supply that to the web application.
Yes, and you will know why next week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, think about it.
But yeah, so we can definitely include that it goes to the Docker container, because that's also 100% true. But I just want to think about whether it's a detail we want to expose to the end user or not.
Cool. Cool. Promotion-wise, what are the plans? Should we have a first blog post, or what are people thinking? Michael, what do you think?
I think it would be a good idea. I just want to try it out myself first. I didn't do that this week. I was waiting for the project being moved. I will draft something up next week, I think. Yeah, I should have time.
Yeah. And the first blog post doesn't necessarily have to be about what we're making here. It can also be a rant. Why does it take 20 minutes to make a production app in 2020? Speedrun between the different options, Heroku and the other ones. Kubernetes, the cost is too high. It's not in any free tier. Free tiers of the hyperclouds, benchmarks, stuff like that. So I think we just have to get started.
Hey, Michael, I'm happy to help with any blog post stuff too. I've got a couple ideas that we could roll in there. So if you want, we can sync up offline.
Yeah, that would be super nice. I have some ideas myself, but probably it makes sense to just say, hey, I have this problem in my experience, and you have that, and we are trying to solve it together.
Sounds good.
Do we have any volunteers to actually test this out? Because I want to test out what we've built so far, and also if the README is useful or not.
Yeah, I was gonna hopefully take a crack at it tomorrow.
Perfect. So if you have a look at the group 5-minute production app, you will see that we already have 2 subgroups in there for examples and sandbox. So examples are, so sandbox is a place where you can just dump your work. It doesn't really matter if it is in a running state or not. But the example subgroup is actually linked through the README, and it's probably a place for curated, well-maintained examples. So if you can just do all your work there, that'll be great. Or else you can do it wherever you like. It should not be a problem. But if you have an example to contribute to the examples subgroup, that'll be great.
Okay, awesome.
Hey, Darby, we can also advertise in the weekend review. There might be other engineers who want to try it out.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea.
Probably the big thing is credentials to basically run it on AWS, but you never know.
Hey, since I have a senior engineering manager and VP of development on the call, let me just raise a question or a concern, or I don't know what to label it, but just a thought. This pipeline uses the GitLab Terraform wrapper, right? And that is, of course, mapped, or that wraps over a specific version of a specific version of Terraform against which the state gets created, right? So if, let's say, the release next week in 13.6, the wrapper decides to use Terraform version +1, what happens to the existing state? Because the way this works, the state is bound to the specific version of the binary you're using. So something to think about. I don't know if my concern was clear, but yeah.
I think that makes sense. I don't have enough knowledge of Terraform to know like what would happen, but I can track that down. I'll sync with the team that knows the most there.
Yeah, it'll be just, like in the perfect world, what's going to happen is the minute we bump the GitLab Terraform version, maybe run some automated tests that check out the 5-minute prod as well. So just link that up, because state is key, right? If we mess up the state, then it just stops working one fine day.
Yeah, that's a good call.
And Shri, don't worry about titles. We're here to help. Please.
Yeah, no, but I'm going to hold you to your title. So hopefully I raised it with you and we can get something good out of this.
Fair enough.
He's not intimidated. He sees the possibilities that
people view me as leverage. I understand my role in this organization these days.
Yeah.
More title, more responsibility. Great. Well, Sri, really, really well done. This really amazing.